number one item you need as a breastfeeding mother. We're happy girl today. I just wanted to take you guys on a little journey to see how many times do I breastfeed my 5-month-old. I don't even know. So we will find out, right, girly? You probably know. I just don't. I don't keep track. I just feed her when she looks like she's hungry. Maybe not the best tactic, but it works, huh? See, baby number 2, we're just a little more lenient and just go with the flow, huh? But anyway, yeah, let's see how many times we breastfeed in a day, and then I think I'll just talk about just some like hacks, what to have when breastfeeding, because I feel like so many people are always asking. So yeah, let's see. Morning world, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, so first feed of the day. It's now 8:30 in the morning and we are on round 2. Stay tuned. Hudson had his usual swim lesson, so she did eat while it's swimming, and then we came home and ate some purees. So we had breastfeeding number 3 during swim, which was around like 11. We are ready for our second nap of the day, which makes for breastfeeding nursing session number, how many? 4. Hey guys. Since it's nap time over here and I'm not feeding my baby, I figured it'd be a good time to just talk about nursing and breastfeeding and really what that looks like. I've just had so many people along the years, sorry, ask me like just what's needed. I will definitely say, one, when breastfeeding, I've done it with 2 kids now. It's different for each kid. Thankfully, I've been so blessed to have 2 kids that really took to nursing pretty well and quickly, and didn't have like super huge challenges. But that being said, it still was very different from one kid to another. I will say the second go around, for some reason, maybe my body just knew, my milk seemed to come in a lot quicker. Therefore, the number one item you need as a breastfeeding mother is a haka. The first time, my first pregnancy, I only had 1 and I kept washing it over and over and over and over again. The second pregnancy, I got a second one thanks to one of my friends, but I used them like constantly with my second go around. Literally, I didn't even break out like my actual pump for like a month, maybe going into 2 months. I know they say if you're having a lot of engorgement issues not to like actually like use the suction part, because it can use suction still to like put on your breast, but I would do that, and every time I fed her, especially early on when my milk was definitely like coming in and I just like was engorged pretty much at the beginning, I was really able, like every time I'd feed, I would just pop this on one side and have her on the other. I developed a big stash. I know you don't need a stash, but like as a working mother, that stresses me out, not knowing I have any like supply left in the refrigerator, because it's inevitable once you start working, you're not going to pump, especially in the nursing profession, as much as you probably should. It's just like when work gets busy. So I feel more comfortable knowing I'm going back to work, having a stash in the freezer. In the first go around, I just really struggled having enough toward the end. So just the supply definitely stressed me out a little bit, because my goal with the first go around was to nurse as long as I could. At least a year was my goal. I made it 18 months with him. I'm on number 5 month with my second, so we'll see. But anyway, number 1 necessary item for breastfeeding is a haka. Get one if you're planning to breastfeed, or a couple. Next, I really did not even use, I bought a whole new one when I was with my second kid, but I honestly haven't even touched it. But I will say it was definitely helpful, especially if you're a first-time breastfeeding mother, is just some like nipple balm lotion cream. I remember the first time I definitely was a lot more cracked and sore, so this definitely helped a lot. Make sure it's one that obviously the baby can swallow and be okay. You don't want to just put like random lotion on your nipples, just because you don't want to get your kids sick. So yeah, just look out for that. That's definitely important, especially at the beginning until your milk really gets regulated. I will say I'm definitely not using it as much right now, but definitely at the beginning, you'll probably want just some like disposable like pads for your bras. You just plop them in your bra just to collect any like leaking milk, because you will leak a lot. I will say the disposable ones work a lot better than like the reusable washable ones. I have both. I've used both, but definitely these do a better job at collecting any extra milk, because you don't want to just be walking around in public and just have like huge leaky boot. That's not fun. But those are definitely the most important things, I would say. And early on, I didn't use it much the second time, but the first time I definitely did use it, and it is probably good to use it either way, as a breastfeeding pillow. I really, really, really liked the My Breast Friend pillow. I used that a lot with Hudson, but the second time I really didn't use anything. There's also so many products out there for breastfeeding pillows. There's also the Boppy, but to be honest, I really never even use this breastfeeding, but I have one. I like it a lot more whenever your kid's starting to sit up, because you can kind of strap it around their waist and they don't like fall down instantly and hit their head. So that's why I have it out, to be honest. But yeah, that is definitely like something you can use as well. I'm trying to think. Oh, you definitely want to get some freezer bags. And when you are freezing it, I would probably recommend like 3 to 4 ounces in the bag. Just because if you go back to work at the typical like 12-ish week mark, your baby's probably going to take like anywhere to 3 to 4 ounces per feed. So it just makes it a lot easier to like divide up the bottles. Yeah. So just when you're freezing, I wouldn't just throw random like 1 ounce, 8 ounces if you have that. Like I don't even think a bag would hold that, but I would try to divide it up a little bit. Yeah. So those are definitely things. You definitely, as a mom and breastfeeding, you want yourself a good water bottle. This is a Stanley, you know, everyone's just raving about those. But just in general, you're gonna want water. Water's a must. Patience is another one, because you're gonna feed that baby and then you're gonna give them to like dad or someone else, and you think you have some time on your hands. When you first start out breastfeeding, that's not a thing. Your baby's gonna cluster feed. It's gonna be so fine. Not because you'll be like, I literally just fed you. They want to eat again. It's important just to keep like that milk coming in, but it's exhausting, so definitely want patience. And I honestly, I know places and people talk about like this nipple confusion thing with a pacifier. Sometimes you need a break, and sometimes your baby just wants to suck, and sometimes pacifier isn't necessarily going to be the end of the world. So that also being said, bottles, you're going to want bottles. I know some people are so afraid to like give their baby a bottle because of that nipple confusion too, but I will say, I haven't necessarily experienced nipple confusion, but Austin, she hated taking a bottle, so that was very stressful, again, knowing I was going back to work after having her, so I'm like, you need to take a bottle. So I tried kind of early on just to start introducing her to it. It did not really work very well. She's taking a bottle now. Some other things that you may utilize as a breastfeeding mama would be like a cover. I invested in, I forget the name of it. To be honest, I don't remember. But a more expensive cover this last go around, just because right when Austin was born, she was a summer baby, and Hudson was a winter baby, so I wasn't that worried about like him being hot. But with Austin, I was like, shoot, if we go out and do stuff in the summer, it's gonna be really hot. So I did invest in one that's a little thinner, breathable. If you have questions about that, I can look into it later, so just comment for me and I'll look into that. But otherwise, to be honest, I find that like breastfeeding friendly clothes is definitely really important. When I had Austin, I had the opportunity to do like a little shoot with a Richmond owned business run by moms called Latch Mama. And literally, I fell in love with their clothes. While I was trying them all on, I was like, you're gonna make me buy everything, huh? It's so comfortable. The sweatshirt is one, and I wore this to work the other day, and so many people are asking me where it's from, people that don't even breastfeed or have kids, and they wanted to look into it too. I'm like, literally, it's the softest sweatshirt ever. But yeah, it's super nice because like it has this like thing here where you can easily like pull it up. I also have a Latch Mama tank top on underneath. Yeah, so you just like pull it up, and it kind of keeps you covered while you're out in public feeding, but it's just so much more comfortable for you as a mom. Like, to be honest, I don't really care if I'm covered or not. Like, obviously I want people to be comfortable, but like my baby comes first. But at the same time, I feel more comfortable just because like my stomach's not hanging out. Like I can just expose one part of my body. So definitely check them out if you're like thinking about breastfeeding and you want some clothes, or maybe try the breastfeeding thing out before you buy these clothes. But either way, I think if you're breastfeeding or not, they're like wonderful. And then also I had the opportunity to do another photo shoot with another Richmond-based company called Coming Home. What is it? RVA. Look them up too if you have any like breastfeeding difficulties, because I mean, I've never like necessarily actually worked with them other than just like the photo shoot, but they seem definitely very sweet and like down to earth, and just from things I've like heard, they're like amazing. They'll come into your home and just help you if you have any issues, and work with you on what your goals will be, like as a nursing mama or breastfeeding or just even exclusively pumping. They're there for you. But I will say, skipping ahead to like the 2 to 3, maybe as early as like 1 month, this past go around was when I really brought out my pump. With Hudson, I was working in the ICU with COVID going on, and I knew going into it that if I did not potentially get one of those hand-free pumps, I probably would not be nursing him for the year that I had planned. So many of my coworkers had either a Willow or an LV, so I looked into both. I ended up going the Willow route, which I have here. To be completely honest, I have not even pulled it out with Austin. I had such a love-hate relationship on it. I can go into that more in detail in the future if there's interest. But moral of that story, I really haven't even used it this time. Last time for my pump that I got through insurance was this lovely Medela, which it worked, it sufficed, but I had to be stuck to a wall for it to work. So that's where the Willow was nice, because I had that freedom. But this go around, I had a friend who used the Spectra S1, and I was very intrigued by it. So that's the way I went this time. Yes, is it bulkier than the Medela a little bit, but I like that it's rechargeable, so you can charge it and not be stuck to a wall and kind of move around if you needed to. And what I like about the Spectra, I've always used Advent bottles right here. So you can just take the lid off of here, and this is the like Spectra bottle that it comes with. It can be interchangeable, like you can put the Advent like nipple onto it and basically have like a bottle right there, or you can even pump directly into an Advent bottle, which is super handy. So yeah, I definitely love my Spectra, and I highly recommend that if you're looking into what to get for a pump. So yeah, that's kind of that. I also understand you don't want to like over pump and make yourself super engorged. Just be careful on that. But like I said, I really wanted a freezer stash, and it stressed me out not knowing I had one, but it also stressed me out early on pumping. So I gave myself at least a month before I even introduced a pump into like my body's milk regulation process. Other things that I never used, but I know people who have used them, like if your baby's struggling to latch and maybe your nipple's just not like the best for latching, especially early on. A nipple shield is really helpful. Like again, I said I never really used one, but that's always an option. But yeah, I will say first baby, I was more stressed about like when I fed, the time, and all that stuff. This go around, I don't even have time to think about that while also chasing a toddler around. So basically, even at this point, 5 months on, I don't even know how much I feed her. That's why I'm kind of curious how this video is going to turn out. But just kind of like on demand, whenever she wants fed, I feed her. I can tell if it's been too long because like obviously I get a little bit engorged and like I'm like, oh my gosh, I need relief. I need to feed you. But yeah, that being said, that's just kind of where I am. I also want to stress, yes, that baby needs fed and that's very important, but just make sure you take time for yourself, especially breastfeeding, because sometimes you can feel trapped and like you can't get away from your baby. So definitely whatever it takes, if it means giving up a feed and letting your husband or your spouse or your friend or family member feed your baby, like take them up on it, because like you need a break too. It's exhausting. Breastfeeding, it's like a whole nother job. So take time for yourself. Yeah, that's all I have to say. But if you have any other further questions, just feel free to comment and maybe I'll do something else in the future. But yeah, there's that. Love you guys. Just had a friend over, but we did have feeding number 5. Now we're having a little snack. So far 5.
We get 3. We get 2.
2 what?
2 friends.
We have 2 friends? Only 2?
Yeah.
Who are our friends?
3.
Who are our friends?
4, 5, 6.
What are their names?
Mama the red one.
Oh, okay. Here we are, number 6. Yay. Number 7, and it's bedtime. Alright, last but not least, this is number 8. Austin gets a little drink feed around 11:30, just trying to avoid the waking up in the middle of the night. But anyway, I hope you guys had a great day, and if you have any other questions, just let me know.